Welcome to the Hand Techniques Lab. This is lesson module 1, where we will be discussing the Moeller technique. The Moeller technique is one of the primary techniques for playing the drums, and I had the honor and privilege of studying with Mr. Jim Chapin for about 5 years, and Jim was Sanford Moeller's student, the namesake of this technique. And what I learned with Jim was really invaluable, and he was an awesome person and man, and I miss him dearly, but I did learn a lot about this technique from Jim, and I hope I can pass them on to you. The primary aspect of the Moeller technique is that we are playing multiple notes with one movement towards the drum. So the first major mistake I see in guys' technique is that they're playing every note, 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 maybe using a lot of arm, like this, and stopping the motion of the stick here by the drum. Some guys even play into the drum, especially for a backbeat, where they'll lay into it and keep it there. That's really bad. We talked about that in the pedal technique lesson modules, where if you dig the beater into the bass drum, now you got two motions to get it out, in and out, rather than let a rebound happen and now I'm ready to play another note again. Using note, 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 it's fine if all you got to play is one note every once in a while, but you can never get your arms to go fast. Now we're going to talk about some arm strokes, but to get your arms to play all the notes that we need to play is really not possible. And that's why a lot of guys get hung up on the speed at which they can play around the instrument. The Moeller technique solves this, because what we're going to do is go to the instrument one time, and then multiple notes are going to happen inside this one stroke. Now, we spoke about, when we're keeping time in our timekeeping lesson modules, about uniform circular motion in our notes, and our figures and note phrases all become a part of a circle. Well, this all stems from the Moeller technique. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to put the tips of the sticks at the drum, in the center of the drum, as if you just played a note. So we're going to start as if we just played a note. Now, there's a couple little things to watch for. First off, in your right hand, and now we're talking about playing traditional grip here. Now, if you're playing match grip, both hands would be the same as what I talk about for the right hand, my right hand. Palm towards the ground. See this? Palm towards the ground. It's not like this. This is a French timpani grip used for finger control. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So this is palm towards the ground like this. And with your traditional hand, if you're playing match, it'd be palm towards the ground over here. But we're playing traditional, it's thumb towards the sky, straight up towards the sky, like that. Not over here, like that. Not inside, like that. That's a brush technique. We're going to talk about that. It's thumb towards the sky. So palm towards the ground, thumbs towards the sky. The first movement we're going to make is always the elbow first. So my elbow is going to go out first. Say right hand first. Elbow out first, and I go up as if I'm stuck on the drum, right? So the center, this tip of the thing, I haven't left the drum yet, and my elbow's up like that. So I'm straight up off the drum. I come down, I do that, and put it straight up off the drum. Now that elbow movement, that's the elbow movement to practice, right, like that. It's this arcing movement. What happens is, when I bring the stick up, this is obviously hyper exaggerated, when I bring the stick up to play a note, my elbow is going to come down and be right back in the same position from where we started again. So elbow out, stick straight up, like this, it's coming up like this, up, and note on the drum. Up and note. Now notice, I let that rebound. So the distance here, I let that rebound, and don't stop the motion of that stick. We're going to utilize that motion here in a second. But for now, we're going to go straight up, elbow around, and note. Let it bounce. Our pivot point is here on the stick. It's about, this is my signature stick, so I always remember it's on the little Vic Firth flag on my signature sticks. But this is the pivot point. It's about, let's say, a third of the way up the stick. That's where I'm gripping it. And I hold it right here between my thumb and my first finger. And that's my squeeze point. This gap right here is crucial. This is another thing I see a lot, guys who play like that. if you watch my arm, when I play, you can see right in here, when I squeeze this gap together in my hand, so I have this gap, if I squeeze it together, up here on my forearm, you can see all these muscles tighten up. And it's the same over here. If I squeeze the gap here in this hand, all these muscles tighten up on my forearm. You can see them tighten them. They're all tightening right up here. And so when you grab the stick like that and you squeeze that gap together, you are inhibiting the movement of the stick, thus inhibiting how much you can play. And I see guys do this all the time. It's all arm and they're squeezed like this, and that's the way they're playing the drums. First off, it doesn't sound good. Second, you're never going to be able to play fast enough when you're doing that. And third, you're going to hurt yourself. And you know, I know a lot of pro drummers who have had wrist surgeries, carpal tunnel type surgeries in the wrists and stuff, because they don't release the shock in their grip. Their grip is like this when they play. It's got to be released like this. See that gap? It always has to be maintained. Gap, pinch here, gap in the hand, down at the drum, elbow first, up straight off the drum like this, down, and release the stroke. Don't stop it. And you can see I still have the gap there in my hand when I do that. So it's very light grip. Stroke one. Traditional grip. Thumb towards the sky. Elbow moves first. The arm is going to then turn in, and it's going to do the same thing. When this is up towards the sky, the stick, my elbow is out and down. Elbow, down. Elbow, stick center, straight up and down. I end up with my thumb towards the sky again. That is our primary stroke, our big stroke. You need to just practice doing that like this with the correct motion. The elbow always moves first. One. Beautiful. One. Okay, now we're ready to add the tap note in our Moeller stroke. We're going to talk about the Moeller technique in groups of 3. So our next note, we played our big note with our right hand. We let this thing rebound. We have some stick height here. The next thing we're going to do is a little tap using just the fingers like that. Tap, tap, tap. You can see what's happening is I still have the gap here, and I'm just using these fingers to tap the stick down into the center of the drum. Tap. Same thing here. I'm just going to use these 2 fingers on top of the traditional grip. Tap, tap, tap with just the fingers. Tap, 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 tap. My hand turns a little bit, but not much. Tap, tap. So stroke and tap. Stroke, tap. Stroke, tap. The third stroke in the Moeller technique is a tap with an upward movement where the elbow is going to move. For the tap note, we didn't move our elbow. It's going to be a part of the overall movement. Down, tap. While we're tapping, our elbow is going to start to move. And for our third note, the movement of that elbow is going to create an upward stroke like that. So there's a note that happens in the upward position. If you look at the lesson module for pedal technique, it's the exact same thing with the foot, where we have a down, a tap, and then an upward note with the foot. So it's the same thing. Down, tap, and then an upward note. And if I keep my elbow moving, it all becomes part of the same movement. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So what's happening? I'm creating 3 notes with 1 movement towards the drum. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And no matter what speed I do it at, I'm only making 1 movement towards the drum. So left hand, start in the center, elbow first, 1 tap up, 1 tap up, 1 tap up, 1 tap up, 1, 1, 1, 1. My hand is turning in a little bit on that tap with the left hand traditional. 1 tap up, 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 the 3 primary movements for the Moeller technique. Now, the next thing is to interplay those back and forth, and then I'll give you the exercise on how to practice all this. So just so you know, what's going to happen in the future is we're going to do a down with this hand, a down with that hand, a tap, tap, up, up. So I'm interplaying the 3 strokes between each hand. And that's how you're going to end up with your hand-to-hand figures. Even when I'm playing that fast. I'm not really actually going that quickly with each hand. It's just when they get interplayed, you know, you can really feel the speed, but it's very smooth, it's dynamic because there's an accent on the downbeat. And we're going to talk about in the finger control lesson modules when we want to play when there's no accent. And that's when we use a finger control, a little bit different technique. But the Moeller technique is for when there's an accent. So it's downbeat is your accent, down tap up, down tap up. You're always accenting that first note with each hand. So here's your exercise for the Moeller technique. We're going to put the click on. We're going to play it in triplets because it's a 3-note phrase. And we're going to play groups of 3, 6, 9, and 12, 4 groups of each with each hand. So it's going to be 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, so 4 times, 4 groups of 3 with each hand, and then 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and then 9 with the right, 9 with the left, 9 with the right, 9 with the left, and then 12, and we're going to do that 4 times. It's a little bit long exercise, but this is something I use for a warm-up. I still do it almost every day of my life, and it's really important that you work on it. So let's just go through it one time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and